Hey guys, Van here with the Van Life Biker Show. We got the cargo rack all finished up. We still need to test some weights, of course. This is a old uh, box here made by Sharp here, written on the door. It came from my father-in-law's engineering company he had many years ago. He died about a decade back, but he was an electrical engineer, and back in the 80s, 90s even, I would assume, they probably still had this in use. It was what you call a Xerox machine. Those of my viewers that got a few years on you, you guys remember the old Xerox machine. So that used to set up on the top there, and the paper storage and all that stuff you kept underneath to refill it. So just made copies for you new generation people. This is a knack box. Well, just gonna open it, but pretty self-explanatory. It's just what we call a gang box. I've got a few things on top. It's just like a tool chest that you keep things secure in here. So I'll keep probably some lightweight things in there. Maybe a little bit of fuel, a fuel can maybe, because that's the plans for this guy. I'm going to stuff a generator in here, and we'll probably secure this somehow, may even just weld it shut, because I've kind of cut the top off. Here's my welding gloves, and hinged this here so I can access the top. So we're going to rivet those hinges in there in the back. I've already riveted the hinge to the actual door now. This was all solid one piece, and I've actually elevated it with a couple of bolts, as you guys can see there. And the reason I did that was because of the height of my particular generator, but also it'll allow for the heat to escape. And, for security reasons, of course, it'll make it, if anybody wants to steal anything, they're going to do it, of course. But, if it takes them 15 minutes longer to get to your stuff, then hopefully that's 15 minutes somebody catches them, or you actually walk up on them yourself and catch them doing it. So, every lock can be broken no matter what, guys. So that's just reality of life. So this here is just a cable tray. Wanted to kind of get into the design. We use this in the trades to actually carry cables from one panel to another. Kind of data centers and things like that, when they're built, you got a lot of cables that need to go from A to B. So communication cables and things like that, fiber optics, sometimes things of that nature you don't really necessarily need in a conduit, where they're just short loops across the room or something like that. So we'll use cable tray, and it's got little slats that run across. It's kind of like a ladder. So this being all aluminum, I thought it was a great idea to use a chunk of this that was left over from a job. The actual welding, you can see it's just all angle iron from one side to the other. And then you can see I have a half piece here. And the reason I did that was kind of an add-on. We kind of had to change horses in the middle of the stream. But, as you guys can see, it's just kind of a steel fabricated frame with a miniature frame on the opposite side I just showed. This is 2-inch box tubing, and I'll show you guys how that works on the opposite side here. And a little difficult getting it secured to the actual aluminum. So I came up with the idea to put some slats in here, I think, and then I'll put some more angle iron here and just weld these slats in place right on top of the aluminum cable tray. And same goes over here. This is 1/4 inch flat stock. I actually think it was angle iron a long time ago, and I think I ripped it. But same difference, 1/4 inch flat stock just laid across the top, and then I'll take another piece of angle iron from here to the side, a couple little short pieces, or maybe even just a long piece to run all the way across from here to here. And that'll secure this down to the actual rack, and then we'll be able to run some bolts through from the inside of these cabinets, the cabinet and the gang box. We can go down inside and screw into that. So the generator would actually have to be removed in order to get to the screws. And you know, generator weighs about 100 pounds first of all, so you know, pretty much going to take a couple good sized men to lift that thing over their head to get it out of the cabinet. So is it really worth stealing? You're probably going to throw your back out doing so in such an awkward position as well. Plus it'll be locked. The hinge top that I'm putting on it will put some security up there, so it's locked so you can't even get in. But it's also going to help us with rain and things like that. You just want to keep it dry. On this side, as you guys can see, we've got 2 pieces of this 2-inch box tubing, and you can see it runs down to about halfway. We've secured it to the actual hitch, which was an actual hitch that came out. Now I put a U-bolt here with another piece of angle iron I ripped in half on one side just to fit, and flipped it upside down so that secures it coming up, which takes that back and forth motion of the actual hitch sitting in there. So that secures that to a solid piece. So flipped it upside down, that way we can get some clearance, and that elevated the entire rack quite a bit. So if we go through a ditch or speed bumps up on a curb or something crazy here and there, this won't drag in the back. So I welded from there over to here, over to the passenger side. You could do it to the driver's side. I wanted it this direction mainly because the gang box is shorter, and I won't have to elevate my tag so high on the back of the van, which is where that's mounted. So I put a bolt through here, guys, drilled all the way through both pieces of 2-inch. We put a washer in the center and a bolt on the bottom, and I'll weld that bolt tight so that can't be removed. And that is I know it's over 1/2 inch. I want to say 5/8. May have been 3/4, but I think it was a 5/8 grade A bolt, guys. So you can tell a grade A bolt because of these little hyphens, we'll call them. Those little slashes around the bolt, that will identify a grade A8 bolt. And those are good for the tensile strength on those, I want to say, is 150,000 pounds per inch. So this being over 1/2 inch for sure, we know that bolt is good for 75,000 pounds. So half of 150,000, takes us back to 75,000. That's how I got that number. So we don't have to worry about that breaking, in other words. That's why you want to use a hefty size grade A bolt, 8 bolt, and you won't have any problems with that for sure. So this is your typical lock, as you would lock your hitch, as you would stick your hitch into the receiver here, the ball type on a drop hitch. You stick that in there and you put a pin through, and they sell locks, keyed locks that you can put in those. Well, they sell those in a 4-inch type. A little more difficult to find. I had to get mine on Amazon. Couldn't find it anywhere locally, but that has a lock on the opposite side down there on the bottom. So, somebody trying to pick the lock or something, I figured it'd be more secure on the bottom. A little bit more of a pain for me to unlock it, but, if that be the case, it makes it, like I say, just a few more minutes more secure for somebody to possibly pick that lock, which is pretty impossible. It's got those funny keys on there too. They're not normal types of keys. So that basically locks it into place. And the bolt here acts as a hinge. So this will pivot out away from the van, and this way it allows all of this stuff to move out on a hinge and swing around, guys, so we can get into the back doors. So this will pivot around, and then I can get into that back door. So the weight of all of this, I'm going to say generator 100 pounds, gang box maybe 50 pounds empty, this maybe 25 pounds. So that puts us at maybe 175 pounds. And the rack itself, maybe another 50 pounds or so. So, we're pushing maybe 250 pounds, maybe 300 pounds. And then we'll put some stuff in the gang box or, fuel and things like that. So I don't see the total weight going over maybe 400 pounds. And the sprinters are actually okay with 500 pounds of tongue weight. So we are well within the limits. But, these swinging types where you can access the back door, they get pretty spendy. I mean, they're $1,000 or better. So, a couple pieces of steel. This wasn't an easy task for sure. But I just wanted to go over the plan. If you guys got access to a welder, that's pretty much all it is. I am not much of a welder myself, these days anyway. At one time I was pretty good, but I'm pretty convinced that I did melt both pieces of steel when we pushed the puddle, and I got some pretty good welds here and there, but for the most part I just bubble gummed it up, as they say. It was a few places where I stacked some nickels, but I don't know. Old age gets to you. I had a cataract surgery a while back. I think there was an effect there, and you got to have a steady hand. And this was all stick welding, arc welding, not your squirt gun wire feed. So if you got one of those, I have one of those, but I really just don't have the confidence. It's a little harder to stick weld for sure, but I know when it's stick welded, it's not going anywhere. I just, old school, I guess, I haven't built up the confidence to use those squirt gun welders and have the confidence that they're going to hold. And we got a lot of wind around here, so it's also a lot easier to stick weld in the wind too, for sure. So this took me a couple weeks, but we really had a real bad windstorm come through again, which kind of pretty much took up 4 or 5 days that I didn't mess with it at all. So a person could probably weld this thing up in a week, I could comfortably say. Yeah, I'd say a week's time. But hey, $1,000, $1,500, and I had all this steel, the cable tray, everything. Literally, you're looking at, I had it all laying around. So it cost me nothing out of pocket. I would say if you had to buy all the materials, you might be up a couple $100, but if one of the swing type hitches might cost you $1,200, you're still about $1,000 in your pocket, and I have pretty much done the design for you. And it's just welding angle iron to this 2-inch, and then we came off of that. And this guy here, I just cut angle iron, cut the Well, no, I didn't cut it at all, I don't think. Yeah, I just butted it on the bottom. Or did I? Trying to feel here. What I actually, oh, it's upwards. I can see it looking through the camera. So set that on top, and then I cut the actual top chunk out and welded here across that chunk that I cut off on the top. So I still had this level area here. It did, didn't elevate it anymore. We did put a washer in there, which elevated it a little bit, but that was just to help it swing. So I didn't want to be higher here than the washer, or I would have probably had to use 2 washers. So, that was just welded, bolted right onto the 2x2, and we came out, created another frame, and that was pretty much just to support the extra weight as this thing swings out. All that weight's going to be on that bolt back there, which I didn't fear too much of the bolt because it's rated at such a high capacity. But, leverage is leverage. When you got, hundreds of pounds out here 6 feet and it's pushing down on it, it's going to have some kind of an effect. So we welded up another rack under there just to kind of, and then the twist on it as well. Just setting on top, you're going to have a little slack to get your bolt in there and the pin to lock it in the center. All those things are going to have a little bit of a twist because the hole has to actually be bigger than the bolt or what have you you're putting in there. So even the twist will allow a little bit of sag. So this is just pretty much designed to take a little bit of the sag out, and I think it turned out great. We're going to work on getting the generator put in here, getting this cabinet dialed in. You guys can buy actual generator type cabinets that are specific for generators. I myself am just going to cut a side out, put this vent on here, just a AC unit type vent, like an intake on your furnace, and we'll just cut that out probably here on the side. I'll cut a square with the old hand grinders, and we'll put that in there as well to give it a little more extra air. And I may run a piece of pipe out the side, whichever way I set it in there where the exhaust comes out. I'll drill a hole for the exhaust to come straight out to keep it cool in there too. But you guys can buy those cabinets specifically designed for generators. They too are expensive. So if you can find yourself something old that you can recycle like this, it's going to save you, maybe $500 or $800 or something on a cabinet too. So I probably saved well over, I don't know, I'm going to say a couple $1,000 with this entire project. Once again, by putting in a little bit of elbow grease. So it wasn't easy. It took me a week to design it and get it all together, and kind of change horses in the middle of the stream a couple times to make things better, stronger as we were design building. But I think it all came together, and I hope you guys get something from it, and maybe to help you guys design something similar to this if you decide to do something like this in the future yourself. And the cable tray might be a little hassle to get and probably expensive, but I really don't even need the cable tray. That was another afterthought. I kind of was thinking I could just get rid of the cable tray, and I could have shortened it up a few inches here in the front, and probably an inch or so in the back if I just used the actual tray. But I kind of wanted the spacer, and the reason for that, guys, if there was a fire in the inside of the van and I needed to get out, this actually will open up enough that I can squeeze out through there in an emergency situation at night or something. So we still got our fire escape, so everything it's working as planned with a few changes along the way, but the whole entire van's been that way. So you just run into these issues as you're building stuff, and kind of being an engineer, an architect, a journeyman, and on when you're the superintendent to the bottom of the totem pole laborer, you are going to have problems. But you just keep your head down and keep plucking away, and you'll get through it. So, as I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Maybe it'll motivate you guys to do something like this in the future. Save yourself a few bucks, and maybe you'll use my design, or at least parts of it. Some of the ideas I just wanted to share to you guys. So until next time, we will see you. Like and subscribe. We're growing. We're getting real close to that 500 mark. I don't know what happened. I was real close there about a month ago, and we dropped back down to like 420 something. But we're back on our way, back up to 450 or so something now. Getting closer to 450. I think like 430, 440 area. So subscribe if you guys don't mind. I'm trying to get to that 500 mark so we can go live. And, that'll definitely help the channel. I can actually film some things like this in the process of doing it, while you guys can chat and drop some questions as things are being done. I wish I could have done the entire build this way, or that way. But unfortunately, they changed the rules, and things kind of went sour really right before I started the channel. It would have been nice to document the entire van build and go live with you guys involved in the chat and asking questions and stuff while it was being done. That would have been so cool. But it is what it is. Maybe we'll be able to go live in the future when we get 500 subscribers, and we'll be able to show some of the traveling that will go on in the future in our van build. So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you on the next one. This is Van with the Van Life Biker Show, and I'm out. Peace.